couldn't walk to your door, couldn't bear to call.
Welcome to the Radiant Enchantress show today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Here's Anissa and Jane, and we're discussing once again my 8 rules to live by that I published in my book called Living and Succeeding. So today, Anissa, hi, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Jane. I'm fantastic. Good to hear your voice.
So today we're going to talk about staying in your highest vibration. And what does that really mean? So I'm going to say that all of our thoughts are energy. And it's similar to the laws of attraction. You will attract like-minded energy and people. For example, light attracts light and love attracts love. And thoughts plus feelings equals actions equals results. So if you go through that whole process, you get results. And if you think negative things, then negative things will start happening to you, or negative things will come into your life, or negative people will come into your life. So one must really focus on what you really want, not what you don't want. Because if you focus on what you don't want, that is what you're going to get, and it's going to get even worse as you go along. And I guess, and especially when you verbalize something that you're really looking forward to or dreaming about or have a goal for, what have you, then the vibration is even higher because there's a higher vibration in your sound waves that are coming out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes when I'm doing my little meditation, I will actually say things loud. Even though there's no one around listening except for the universe, it gets out there. It really does get out there.
It does. And this was such an incredible concept to me when I first learned about this. And I want to say it was, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years ago, this was even introduced to me. I had no idea how powerful your thoughts were. None. I didn't understand at all the vibration that we put out with especially speaking, right?
Right.
And I remember one of the really cool things that was so mind-blowing to me, but yet and I've seen it happen so many times. Like when you said, you talk when there's nobody there to listen. Well, but there is, because the universe is there. Mm-hmm. And when you vibrationally put out your thoughts, your words, which are coming from your thoughts out there, then it's like a boomerang. When you throw a boomerang out, it will turn around and come back to you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the vibration you're putting out. So, and yet a little bit differently than a boomerang, what the universe does is it's sort of like it bounces off and comes back to you from multiple directions, which means it's coming back to you in a much bigger force, right. Way more powerful than when you put it out there. So it is imperative that you really stop and think about the vibration you're putting out. Your thoughts, as you said, they lead to the words that come out of your mouth. I mean, yeah. That's it. And it's what makes us, it's what causes our actions, right? Not causes, but it's what we come off of to choose what actions that we're going to take.
Yep.
And so all of that puts this energy out there. And that energy you're putting out is what is going to come back to you when it, I guess I don't know any of what am I looking for here, Jane? Like when it bounces off the universe, right?
Right, bounces right back at you.
Yes. So think about that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really powerful, and it's such a challenge. At least I find now. I don't know how you feel about it, but I still find it a daily challenge sometimes to catch myself with my thoughts, and being aware of what they are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I guess last year, well, the year before last, we built our house, right?
mm-hmm,
So, and it cost a lot more money than we had expected, as you know.
mm-hmm,
And then I got into this thing where I was focusing on that debt. And as I focused more and more on that debt, the debt wasn't going away. And because I was focusing on it,
mm-hmm,
and it just wasn't moving or budging. And then I got sick last year. And I'm
mm-hmm,
sure that it was all connected, because it was only after I got much healthier again that I
mm-hmm.
realized I was focusing on the wrong thing. And remember last year I created my new vision board? Because I
Yes.
think the vision board had, a lot of people have retreats and stuff around vision boards, but it's an incredibly powerful tool. And I put that vision board together, and man, my whole thought process, shifted back to the positive again. And
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how quickly things have happened to make all of that better that I just
Right.
explained.
And so when your thoughts shifted, Jane, back to that positive, I'll bet you felt a physical shift in your
Mm-hmm,
body, how you were being, your
mm-hmm.
emotions, your actions, which thus changed your results.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's really
Exactly.
powerful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I guess we must trust the universe. We must trust that whatever we're putting out there is going to come back, whether it's negative or positive. So be sure to think positive. And
Mm-hmm.
also that every time we put a positive thought or speech out there,
Mm-hmm.
that's a seed that will grow in the universe and flourish, so long as you keep that positive high level of vibration in your body.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's really, really important here, at least to me, one of the big things that I do to make sure that my vibrations where I want it to be, to really be more aware, set myself up to have more I don't know if the word's control, or be able to have myself in positive thoughts, okay,
Mm.
is I'm really careful about who I surround myself with.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of the things that, because thoughts are, again, we just said, they come out in vibration when we speak them. So if you're in the vicinity of someone who has negative, depressing, sometimes angry and ugly thoughts that are coming out in their words, you're standing at that vibration's hitting you,
Yeah.
and it's going to affect you. It'll start affecting your thought process. It'll start making you question things that you wouldn't normally question, maybe in how you're being and doing.
Right.
So I think one of the ways that, I know one of the ways that I really protect my thoughts is I'm very picky about who I spend my time with, who I'm around, their energy, and how positive are they, how good are they for me, how do I feel once I'm around them, how do I feel when I leave their company, or like when you and I, or someone is talking on the phone, I
Yeah.
always feel awesome when you and I get off the phone together.
Yeah.
So that tells me something, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's important to mention to everyone.
Yeah. I one of the things I was so contemplating for the retreat in Costa Rica is Joe Polish's Genius Network. Because
Oh yeah.
for me, that was a huge breakthrough. We did, and it was one time we did that, and I'd sat there and I thought about all the people in my life that either were acquaintances and not friends, or whoever, who had knowledge, who had the all of these rules that we're talking about. They have all of those, and they use all of those in their daily life. And um, it, it really made an impact on me. And one of the people in my Genius Network that I put together that day, I'm now really friends with. And at the time, we were acquaintances, because I could see that she was doing amazing things, and I want to be friends with that woman,
Yes.
that person. And and now we're really close friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so so we will definitely do something similar to that while we're in Costa Rica.
Well, and I think that's awesome. Glad to hear that. You know, it's because, you know, it's not this whole journey, all these things that we're talking about, the rules to live by. We're not an island, and it would be increasingly difficult and unnecessary for everyone to try to do these all by themselves, right? And we are affected by those around us. What is the saying? We are the 5 people we hang around the most.
Yeah.
Like, so that's a really great way, especially, you know, for some listening, they may feel like what we're talking about right now is just, I mean, I'll never forget the first time I heard this from somebody. I thought, what? How do you
how do you do that?
Yeah. How do you do that? So there's a lot of different things, like we just talked about, you know, our association, we talked about the Genius Network exercise. There's a lot of different ways that you can learn to be in control of your thoughts, because it really is you that controls them.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn to what to do with them when you decide they aren't healthy or
Right.
you want to change them. And then there's also the thoughts that, you know, the actions that you want to take, what thoughts do you need to be having to support that when you're like working towards your goals and things like that.
Right.
So, and then of course, again, choosing who you're going to be around to help you in supporting that. Because again, none of us are an island. We are a circle of women, a community that are here to lift each other up and be supportive. And it is a journey. I'm sure, Jane, you would say the same thing. To this day, I catch myself all the time. Sometimes it'll be a thought that I'm having, and I can actually sometimes feel something in the pit of my stomach. And especially if I start feeling anxious, I go, okay, what are my thoughts? What am I thinking about? And I start digging into that and just getting really present. Sometimes for me, my meditation is I go for a walk on the beach. And I'm just by myself, and I think about that, and I'll start looking into my thoughts. And sure enough, if I'm feeling anxious, there is something in my thoughts that is either negative or it's a fear, which is unrealistic because it's a fear of something in the future that's never happened, and things like that. Usually means I'm not being present. So I get centered and I come back to present, and then my thoughts become in gratitude and love and things like that. Right. Yeah. So it's a, you know, you got to be gentle with yourself, patient with yourself, and give yourself some time to learn that. But just really take a minute right now. Anybody listening to this, that maybe this is the first time that they've ever heard of this, really stop and think about what you're thinking about right now. Just practice doing that several times a day. Just stop and go, what am I doing and where's my mind? Oftentimes you'll find that what you're doing has nothing to do with where your mind's at. Right. Because we're also very not present, right? So that, to me, that was one of the biggest things I had to learn first, was getting present. So there's a few different ways you can do that. Meditation's a great one, which you do. You talked about your meditation that you do daily. So I think that's just kind of a good place to start, maybe, you know.
Yeah, although it's been so damn cold here the last 10 days, I have barely been outside.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame you, dear.
Yeah. So I guess finally, I'd like to say that so be real, right? Be real and be real careful what you think.
Yes. Very, very good advice.
Yeah, you just have to be really careful what that brain is telling you. It's and I think I've said this in other times in our discussions, but the brain has been created and is there to protect you, and sometimes it puts up barriers and all sorts of stuff in your head that get you off track.
Absolutely. And I think, just real quick, Jane, it's really important here to also mention this process, this getting present and going, okay, what am I thinking about right now? Especially when you're feeling, negative things, is an important process, but it's not one to use to beat yourself up.
No.
Don't shame yourself.
Right.
Do not make yourself wrong for those thoughts. Just acknowledge them, feel where they're coming from, and then adjust. Maybe even thank you, mind, for sharing. Thank you for bringing that back up from my past, but that is in my past. I'm going to let that go right this minute. I want to be present right here. What's happening right here, right now with me? Like, that is a more of a positive conversation, not, what are you doing, Anissa? Thinking about that again for the umpteenth time. Haven't you been over this? Like, don't do that to yourself. Again, those are thoughts, right? And so what are those thoughts? Are they positive? Are they loving? Are they uplifting? Think about that, because you're talking to yourself, and that's pretty important that you be loving to yourself as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this was great. Thanks so much, Anissa.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Talk
Jade.
to you later.
Aria.
You are a goddess.
We hope you enjoyed this enchanting conversation today, and we look forward to having a new conversation with you in our next show. Our shows will be broadcast approximately every 2 weeks. We wish you much love and light in your life today. Thank you.